Les Misérables, directed by Tom Hooper in 2013, is a film adaptation of the musical based on the book by Victor Hugo. The story focuses on a second revolution after the main French Revolution. There are many characters that the story focuses on. There are a few in particular that most prominently portray the main themes of the story. Jean Valjean, Javert, Fantine, and Cosette are the main four characters that we will be focusing on.
Who am I? 2, 4, 6, 1.
Jean Valjean is the protagonist of the movie version of Les Mis, and most of all of the conflicts circle back to his inner struggle over his criminal past. The movie itself follows Valjean as he rises from the lowest point in his life to elevated forgiveness. Valjean's character arc most represents forgiveness.
The concept of rising up from his horrible life is also symbolized by his clothing. At the beginning of the movie, he is always clothed in dark colors like blue or gray, and is hardly ever seen in the light. By the end of the movie, he is seen in light colors like yellow, similar to Cosette's ensembles throughout the film.
In the beginning of the film, everything is dark and bluish, almost no warm colors. Things start to get a bit lighter during the Revolution, and red is added to the mix. And finally, at Cosette's and Marius' wedding, the entire color scheme is yellow. To take that even further, most of the beginning is set at night, but in the final scene where Valjean enters heaven, the scene is in a brilliant daylight glow.
Name is Jean Valjean.
And I'm Javert. Do not forget my name.
Javert is Jean Valjean's foil, and in a way, the antagonist of the movie. The real antagonist is the unfairness of society and the law that makes life difficult for the characters, but Javert is a personification of that. Both Valjean and Javert represent justice and order, but Javert represents justice through only the law, while Valjean is morals and forgiveness. He literally walks the line between order and chaos. In his mind, the only thing that ensures order and goodness is the law, and when something doesn't line up with his version of morality, it ruins him.
Till we come. Get out of here. Don't understand. Clear out of here.
When Valjean follows his morals and forgives Javert, letting him go free, Javert doesn't understand, because it would have been justified for Valjean to take his revenge. So instead of living in debt to Valjean's forgiveness, Javert chooses to end his life, unable to not see the world in black and white.
Javert's rigid lawfulness can be seen in his clothing as well. He almost always appears in uniform, and it's clear that he is proud of his rank. He thinks that he is better than Valjean because he's from the gutter too, but dedicated his life to the law instead of becoming a thief. He is also only ever wearing blue or gray, unlike the characters who achieve forgiveness and get to be represented by warm colors.
Javert is also constantly seen beside hard surfaces such as stone, wood, or concrete, but over time you notice that the stones behind him begin to weather as he nears his conclusion. And because he believes he is more enlightened because of the law, he is often physically placed above other characters. He's the only main character seen on horseback, and his chase of Valjean through the night places him in the viewer's mind as an unstoppable force of the law. A very poignant example of this is when Javert finds Valjean and Marius in the sewer, and we see him elevated by an extreme camera angle. Valjean is placed purposefully low and vulnerable place, and he begs Javert to look down.
Just think of that. It pays a debt. Just think of that. What can I do? It pays a debt. 10 francs may save my poor Cosette.
Part of the exposition to the rest of the story involves seeing Fantine go from pretty pink factory worker to dying prostitute. Fantine was innocent, full of love, and had all the right intentions, and yet she was scorned by her peers and forced into a life in the gutters. Basically, the theme of her arc is the unfair treatment of the innocent, which is essentially what the revolution was fighting for. She's the light and innocence that is soiled, while her daughter Cosette is the light and innocent that is preserved.
Fantine is first shown to be different from the other workers around her simply through the color of her clothing. Everyone is wearing blue smocks and hats with dull colors, yet Fantine is wearing a pink dress under her blue smock. This not only sets her apart from the other women, focusing on her and her story compared to the other women. Pink is a color that represents compassion, nurturing, and love, which describes Fantine. Through song, she is transformed from fairly clean and a pink lady to a dirty prostitute wearing a red dress. Commonly, red is a symbol of impurity, especially sexual impurity.
My name is Marius from Merci.
And mine's Cosette.
Cosette, I don't know what to say.
We learn that Fantine is the mother of a child, and immediately their nurturing and love shows with the color pink. Fantine is working as much as she can to be able to pay for her child's well-being to the innkeepers. After Fantine's death, the role of being the symbol of light is transferred to Cosette. And we can see this in how Cosette is constantly in front of pink, set-wise, to show how delicate and beautiful she is, and how precious she is to Valjean, like a jewel in a dollhouse. She is also the only character to be able to be clothed in warm colors, specifically yellow. The contrast and the shock of the beautiful use of color against the slime and brutality of the dark reality of the outside really brings out the character from the rest.
All in all, Les Misérables is a story about forgiveness, friendship, and having a worthwhile life as long as you love, respect, and forgave those around you.